Alright, so today let's talk about how to take sharp photos all the time with all kind of cameras. And today I've collected a couple of tips and tricks for you guys that I use all the time to take photos and to get good results. So yeah, let's get straight into today's topic so we don't waste a lot of time here. Okay, so whenever I take a photo, there are always a couple of things that determine if a photo gets sharp or unsharp. And here I mostly talk about settings like aperture, shutter speed, and the focus. And on top, it also depends on if the key element is moving around or not. So we definitely need to talk about all these kind of things here. So yeah, first let's talk about the shutter speed, because this is actually the biggest topic here. And in most cases, you can get way better results if you use the right settings. Basically, if you want to take a photo, you need to use the right shutter speed settings, because especially the wrong shutter speed can lead to blurry images really fast. And the reason why this always happens is that your camera simply needs way too much time to take the photo if your shutter speed is too slow. So what I'm talking about is that if you want to take a photo of a leaf, for example, and your shutter speed is way too slow, your picture will get blurry because of the camera shake or because the leaf moves around. So the basic question that you need to answer all the time before you take a photo is, what is the best shutter speed to freeze the motion? And especially if you shoot handheld, you can't hold your camera perfectly still, so that's why you need to use a faster shutter speed to compensate the so-called camera shake movement. And the basic idea here is to set up your minimum shutter speed in combination with your focal length. So for example, if you use a 35mm lens, your shutter speed settings shouldn't be under 1/40 of a second. Or another example would be if you use a 100mm lens, your minimum setting should be at 1/100 a sec. But this is just the basic rule here, so this won't work every time. Especially if you use a heavy lens like a 70-200, or if your key element is moving around, you need to use a way faster shutter speed. In most cases, when I take photos handheld, I start around 1/125 if it's a little bit windy, for some basic photos using the 35mm lens. But if I take photos of fast moving objects like cars or at a sports event, I mostly use way faster shutter speed settings. So for example 1/1000 a sec, because you always need to freeze the motion in these situations to avoid the problem that your camera needs way too much time to capture the moment while your key element is still moving around. And exactly that's why your camera needs to take the photo really fast, because your key element still moves around while you take the photo. So yeah, basically before I start to take photos, I always think about what kind of photos I want to take. If the key element is moving around, I know that I need to use a fast shutter speed. But if I take photos of stills, I can use way slower shutter speed settings because there's less movement in the frame. So if you want to practice that, I highly recommend to get out there and take a couple of test shots with some basic settings and then see if you need to make some adjustments. So as an example, it's a windy day and you want to take some close-ups of those leaves in the forest. Start with, let's say, a shutter speed setting of 1/400 a sec for a test shot. The next step is to switch to the preview and zoom in to see if you need to use a faster shutter speed or if you can even use a slower shutter speed. And yeah, if you do that over and over again, you will find some good practices and good starting point settings for all kind of scenarios. And exactly that's why I highly recommend to do that, because it makes it way easier to get the right settings, because you already know, okay, I need to take photos of the sports event, so 1/1000 a sec might be a great starting point here. And yeah, in the end, if you have found your best practices for your own workflow, you will get much better results and sharper images way faster. But now let's move on to another really important topic that we need to talk about, and here we need to talk about your focus settings. And here it totally depends on your key element. In most cases I used the single dot autofocus mode, because here you can easily select the part of my frame where the key element is. And especially for nature photography, that's in my opinion one of the best ways to set up the focus, because you have full control and you always know which element will be in focus. But of course, if you want to take some portraits of some people, for example, you can easily use the eye autofocus to make your own workflow way easier. So what I highly recommend is to not just stick to one mode, because obviously there's a reason why there are multiple modes for specific shooting scenarios. But one of the most important focus settings that you need to learn is to shoot in manual. Because yeah, sometimes it can happen that the autofocus won't detect your key element, even if you use the single dot focus to select it. I had multiple situations where I tried to set the focus directly on my key element, but I had to switch to the manual mode to get the shot. So yeah, definitely never rely completely on the full autofocus modes, always learn how to shoot with the manual focus as well. But now let's move on to another setting that we need to talk about, and here it's all about aperture. And of course, if you use a faster shutter speed, it makes your image darker, and you try to compensate that by using aperture settings to make it brighter again. But an aperture of 1.8, for example, can increase the bokeh in your images as well, and less elements are in focus. So it's actually possible that parts of a key element won't be in focus anymore, which can be really bad. So especially in these cases you need to increase the aperture again to get your key element back in focus, and of course this makes your image darker again. So that's why we need to talk about ISO as well. And of course a lot of people say that you shouldn't use high ISO settings because it causes noise in your images. And of course, yeah, that's possible, but the main phrase here is always use that amount of ISO that you need to take the photo. And exactly that's it. That doesn't mean that you can't use higher ISO settings to compensate your shutter speed and aperture settings. In the end you need to get the shot, and if that means that you need to use higher ISO settings, that's absolutely fine. So don't be afraid to increase your ISO settings, especially if it makes it easier for you to get the better shot. And last but not least we need to talk about gear, and of course good gear always makes things way easier. But one of the most important things isn't actually your camera, it's your lens. Because as an example, if you have a high-end camera and paired with some cheap lenses, the image quality won't be the best. But if you use some high-end glass with a Canon 80D, EOS R or whatever you want to use, you get way better results. Because if the input quality is already bad, you won't get better results just because your camera body is really expensive. So what I always recommend is to choose a mount that you want to use for a long period of time, start with a basic camera body and spend most of your budget for high quality glass. And later on you can still upgrade your camera body if you need specific features and all these kind of things. But yeah, these are a couple of tips and tricks that I use all the time to take some sharp photos with all my cameras. So thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you're new, don't forget to smash that subscribe button to stay updated for upcoming videos, and I'll see you in the next video.